I came into the message about 17 years ago. Jennifer, who's now my wife, I was dating her at the time, and she grew up in the message. And so, when I was dating her, I started going to church, and that's where I heard the message. And I had an experience with Jesus Christ while I was in the message. But I think going back to the way I was raised, though I had been raised in a Christian home, in a Christian environment, I believed in Jesus Christ, but I hadn't had an experience with Him, and I didn't have any depth in the Word. So, when I saw the message and it was using bits and pieces of the Bible to support what it stood for, I didn't have enough depth at the time to be able to sort out what was consistent with the Scriptures as a whole. I could see that they were consistent with bits and pieces of the Scripture, but I didn't have the depth of knowledge to realize that it was inconsistent as a whole with the New Covenant as preached in the New Testament. I don't know that there was any one particular thing that caused me to start going down the path of searching. I've always been a person that studied the message, studied the Bible, tried to correlate the message with the Bible. We had heard that there was of the Humble Pie article on the Believe the Sign website, so we went back and read that. It made me dig deeper. It made me dig deeper, and I read the Searching for Vindication information. I read the Believe the Sign information, Seek Ye the Truth. Read Nathan Rivera's work. Read a little bit of. Actually, I did read pretty much all of Legend of the Fall by Peter Dizer, and I started really digging into those issues much deeper to realize that it wasn't just one thing. I mean, we could dismiss just about any one problem and chalk it up to a human error, chalk it up to a misunderstanding. But when you started seeing the mass of information in aggregate, that's when I realized that this whole thing is built on a false premise. If there had to be any one thing that pushed me over the edge, I would say it was the message ministry's response to the issues. Any of us are prone to make a mistake. Any of us are prone to be misled. But when I saw that the current message ministry, and this wasn't just typical to our church. It was, we noticed it with visiting evangelists. We noticed it as a whole with things we were reading on website conversations, that no one within the message, none of our message leaders would actually address the issues head on. Not one. They were quick to degrade the character of the critics. They were quick to yell real loud about how people were telling lies and spreading false things, but no one would dig in and reveal the truth. No one would dig in to show us where things were wrong. The red flags go up, and you say, "Wait a minute! I remember the tongue-tied proposal chapter in Owen Jorgensen's book, but I'm reading this timeline information, and I see that Hope's parents were divorced, and his father was living in Fort Wayne, Indiana at the time. How could he have gone back and sat in that living room and had that conversation that's recorded in the book, which was taken directly from William Branham's sermons themselves? You can look back at was he a Baptist or was he a Pentecostal minister? You can look back at the Ohio River baptism. The newspaper clipping reads that 14 were converted in his ministry. And yet, when you hear William Branham tell the story, there was as many as 10,000 people standing on the riverbank while he was baptizing 500. That's a tremendous discrepancy. That goes beyond the realm of exaggeration. And so, if you're familiar with the message, I would go to the Searching for Vindication website. I would read it. I would digest it. I would try to make it fit. I challenge you, try to make it fit to what you know about the message and see if it adds up. William Branham, you can hear him say over and over in his sermons that the Bible is as absolute. And I think he very well believed the Bible was as absolute. I've got no reason to say that he didn't. But as I got further, as I walked in a closer relationship with Jesus Christ, and as I started to read the Bible without a message filter, I've come to realize today that the message as we know it does not truly take the Bible as their absolute. They take the Bible as interpreted by William Branham as their absolute. Everything is done through a message filter. I've come to realize that many preachers within the message, they view William Branham's words as being on par with the Scripture. It is like, I've heard the example given to me that, well, if you lived in Paul's day, you wouldn't have had a composite Bible. You would have letters that were passed from church to church. the letter to the church of Philippi, the letter to the church of Ephesus, and so forth. And they view William Branham's words as equal to that. So it's like an extension of the Bible. Every major message doctrine that I know of can be supported by the Bible. It can be supported by scriptures. But the question you have to ask is it consistent with the scriptures as a whole? Or does it take one scripture from here, one scripture from there, one scripture from there, pull them out of context and bring them together to meet a preconceived doctrine that you already believe in? That's vastly different than taking and reading the Bible and letting the doctrine come out from what you read.